Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back to another ArchCast, where I am rejoined with my semi-permanent co-host Vee.
Hello.
It's been a busy week, hasn't it? We had a few days of no activity, and then everything hit at once. We've got Cleopatra, we've got Bud Light, we've got that... Did you see the shooter, Unrecorded, the body cam one?
Actually that one, no. But speaking of that, there's a video game that's extremely realistic, and it also has like the body cam of a police officer.
That
and
is
people are complaining.
that is literally the one I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yep, we'll have a look at that because it's very interesting. The backlash towards it and how people view it, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Disney has been doing Disney things. The actors for the Lilo and Stitch live action thing. I don't know why that's necessary, but here we are. Too white to play Hawaiian Islanders, even though they are Hawaiian Islanders.
Did you know that one of them has been fired recently?
Yes, because he made a playlist called... don't even...
Soft A.
Like it's not even the hard R, okay? It's the Nigga version of the N word. So he there's two accusations. One, he used that on an Instagram post, and one where he had it in a playlist, and that was enough to get him fired. So there we go.
Do you know why people were on his Instagram to begin with?
They were checking it out because he was too white, wasn't he?
Yes, they were checking his parental lineage. I'm not kidding.
Yep.
They wanted to see the pedigree. Like, is he of noble stock?
The N-word has been gaining in power recently. Like, we thought it was as powerful as it could get, but we were wrong. There was a guy who was fired from a Rainbow Six Siege sponsorship thingity-bob thing a while ago because he mentioned the letter N.
Really? I did not know about that. So now it's just like we can't say the N-word?
Basically, what was it? There's a black guy in the game, and they had a guessing game where they're like, okay, I'm gonna say a letter, and you need to tell me which operator you're thinking of. And so somebody said like N, and the dude said like, Cage, the black guy. And that cost him his sponsorship deal. They then dug through his Twitter, as one does, and they discovered that at one point he had responded to a picture of the black guy with a banana emote. So yes.
By the way, when is Disney going to make a live action of Tarzan? And who are they going to cast?
I imagine it would just be a black dude at that point, but it's going to be a minefield to navigate, undoubtedly.
Because they can't help themselves. Like, they need to race swap, right? But, like, if they do... What if they cast a Japanese person as Tarzan? Then it's like checkmate.
Well, the Russians have a long history of referring to the Japanese as monkeys too, so I don't know if that'll work out very well.
I did not know that, though.
But from one movie disaster to another, we have a new member, Zephyr, here today. Congratulations and welcome. And Sujad says, Scrump better than Dev. I must disagree. Dev is friend. Dev has been saying dumb things recently, but we must stand with friend. Friend overall.
Well, the thing is, when you're a content creator, eventually you do get to say dumb things, and there are an army of people that don't like him, and the moment he says a dumb thing, like, they're going to latch on to that.
And yes, Chad, unironically, The Rock would make a pretty okay Tarzan. Like, I genuinely wouldn't mind. Like, his tattoos are going to be a problem, because, you know, how did you get those in the jungle? But beyond that, yeah, no, The Rock would be an excellent Tarzan. I don't know if... Is that an insult, V? Please, I don't know.
No, but, like, I don't see The Rock. Like he looks more like the type of person that would go on the island as an expedition, and he would be the one rescuing Tarzan.
No. Okay, so The Rock with long hair, like before his acting career, when he played like the Scorpion King in that awful fucking B movie.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I actually liked that because I
Did
was
you?
young and
Gosh.
foolish. Yeah, it was special effects and it was cool. I mean, I was like what, like 12 when it came out.
Like I actually really
Yeah,
enjoyed
actually, I can see that.
the
Okay, now I
Mummy,
can see that.
the Mummy
Yeah.
TV movies, movies, yes,
Mhm.
movies. I really enjoyed those, but the Scorpion King was just awful.
Mm. Yeah. No, I can see. I can see him being Tarzan. Yeah.
Yeah, he could be Tarzan.
Mhm.
Now let's hope we don't get sued. So the whole Cleopatra thing. How close have you been following this?
Very.
Because it started with they announced that she was going to be played by a black woman, and everyone, primarily the Egyptians themselves, were like, "Nah, don't." And there was a big old backlash. And they yeeted a change.org petition with like 45,000 signatures on it.
And they didn't even give a reason why. It's
No.
like, you know why she did. Yeah, you know why she did.
I don't think they've addressed it at all ever since. They just yeeted it, and then like
touching it.
Then they look at you like, you know why we yeeted it, and like, yeah,
it's like, you know why she did.
Yeah, you don't need to explain, but I'd like you to say it out loud, you know.
Yeah. Do you think that if the reverse was the thing, like if they would have casted a white Cleopatra and people would have started the petition asking for a black Cleopatra, do you think there would have been complaints?
Of course not, because they're already doing that with the Lilo and Stitch thing.
Oh, yeah.
They would not be the same outrage. And then, like, as that petition was started by a pair of Egyptians, and now a Egyptian lawyer has sued Netflix, or more correctly, he has launched a plea to the Egyptian court system to ban the movie in Egypt.
Mm-hmm. And to ban Netflix as well because it's blasphemous.
Yes, like Netflix in its total.
I think any imam would agree.
Yes, you're gonna have a hard time convincing the Muslim religious society to be like, yeah, Netflix, good. And now, finally, the creator, the director, creature, woman, thing, person, Tina Garavi, that was the name I was looking for there, has come out and is smashing the critics of Black Cleopatra. She's speaking out, Vee, speaking out.
Well, she can speak as much as she wants, but I can remain disinterested longer than she can stay solvent.
I do like the wording here to speaking out and like truth to power, because the director of a multi-million-dollar Netflix project is the victim in this particular scenario.
Yeah, but the progressive stack, Arch.
And true. So let's hear.
And what is she saying?
I remember as a kid seeing Elizabeth Taylor play Cleopatra. I was captivated, but even then I was a racist and was wondering, was her skin really that white?
I mean, you gotta have a time machine and bring a Nazi back from the past to be able to answer that question.
That's true.
They had the science, like they had university professors. They had like skull measuring instrument. Like they had it nailed down.
Like, because the 1963 movie of Cleopatra, like, that was the old school shit, you know? That was incredibly beautiful costumes. It had huge, awesome sets. It had, like, real actors doing all of the roles. Like, they literally crafted, like, an enormous altar that they rolled her ass in on. Like, oh, God, I miss that old age.
But they have no inclusivity, though.
That is true. Cleopatra was played by Elizabeth Taylor, I believe, who is quite white. It is true.
Yeah, like how can a black person empathize with that? You know, it's what she's saying.
Well, Vee, you raise an interesting question. Can black people empathize? Swiftly moving on.
I think they can. Well, I think they can, but the director from Cleopatra thinks they can't.
Hey, there you go. Let's shift the blame.
Yes. I mean, what I find fascinating is that while they talk about diversity that much, We look at black people, huge anime fans. Like some of the best anime channels on YouTube, black people. Right. And according to the ideology, they shouldn't, because like anime has mostly Asian characters.
Well, the beauty of
They should
anime
watch.
is we look at anime character and we just see white people, and the Japanese look at those characters and they just see Japanese people. Like,
Or Korean.
Yeah.
Like they actually differentiate. Yeah.
perfect. That's how it should be. But she goes on, born in Iran, I am Persian. I like how she's very peculiar about her lineage. And Cleopatra's heritage has been attributed at one time or another to Greeks, the Macedonians, and the Persians. Do you spot anything mildly funny in that one there, V?
At one time or another.
This is slightly for the history buffs amongst us. The known facts are that her Macedonian Greek family, the Ptolemaic lineage, intermarried with West Asian's Seleucid dynasty and had been in Egypt for 300 years. Cleopatra was 8 generations away from these Ptolemaic ancestors, making the chance of her being white somewhat unlikely. In contrast to what, exactly? Like, what would she be? Why would she be black? Is this something that happens to people? Do they live in Africa and they become black over 8 generations?
No. But it's fascinating because there are sculptures of her. Like when she went to Rome, that her face has been sculpted. Like we know how she looks like. Right? It's not like it's a random person from, like it's not like she's Jesus Christ. Because like Jesus was a random person, right? Like he wasn't the king or anything. I mean, he was the king of heaven, but like not a king on earth, right? So they didn't have like coins of him. They didn't have sculptures of him. They didn't have like anything like that. But with Cleopatra, we do. Like we know how she looked like.
The thing is, too, I like how she mentioned this. She's been attributed to Greeks, Macedonians, and the Persians. All those 3 in this timeline are the exact same thing. That's the thing. The Greeks and the Macedonians live meters apart, and the Seleucid dynasty, which she mentions, well, why are they called the Seleucid dynasty? It's because they were founded by Seleucus, Alexander's general. These are all Greeks.
Yeah, and Alexander Macedon, he was Greek.
Yes.
Which is why he founded Macedonia. Like,
well, he didn't found Macedonia, but yes.
No, but like, yeah.
But no, like, all of these are Greeks. That's the problem. And they intermarried with Greek families. It's the same that in Europe, all of the royal houses at some point was interlinked. Like during World War I, where Kaiser Wilhelm's grandmother was like the Queen of England, etc. Shit like that.
Yeah.
And the thing is also, we know who every single one of her ancestors were as well. We literally have all of their statues, we have all of their coins, we have all of their family lineages. Not a single one of them looks African.
Again, there's a sculpture of her. Like, you don't even need to do that. Like, her face is, I think if you Google it, you'll find it. Like, there's like a little statue that the Romans made of her.
Yeah, no, there is. But again, like, her entire idiocy here is she's trying to sound like she's looked into this, right? Like, there's many claims about her lineage, like Greek and Greek and Greek.
Greek.
For example.
But I can tell you another reason why it's full of shit, right? Like, allegedly there's a team of historians, and they call her Queen Cleopatra. Wouldn't it be like Pharaoh Cleopatra, if you're historically accurate?
Depends on a little bit, because there were a bunch of was she ever like properly the pharaoh? Because I know she was in a succession dispute with her brother or something.
Yeah, but like if you're the ruler of Egypt, you're the pharaoh, right? Like, because like for them it was a religious thing. Like it had major significance on who's the pharaoh.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Like, it wasn't just like the same like in England, like the king of England. No. Like the pharaoh was considered to be a half god, basically.
She was.
Yeah. And it's so fucking cringe. I'm looking at it and it's like, I am everything. I am blah blah blah. I am powerful, and I'm like, Yeah, I guess, but like you shouldn't say that because it looks bad. Like if you're the king, even the king of England wouldn't go around and like, I am almighty and all powerful. And blah, blah, blah. It looks so arrogant and so bad and so cheesy.
Well, it was a religious thing. And she also then goes on, we can safely say Cleopatra was Egyptian. Yeah, but Egypt was it was a Greek kingdom. Like she was no more Greek or Macedonian than Rita Wilson or Jennifer Aniston, both are one generation from Greece. Like, okay, but is Jennifer Aniston black?
I mean, again, when you have the actual Egyptians, I think they know their history better than an American.
They do, and the best part is, because, okay, she's trying to make it sound like she gave a shit, but then, doing the research, I realized what a political act it would be to see Cleopatra portrayed by a black actress.
She actually says that?
Yes. Yes, she does. Because that's the thing. She wasn't researching who Cleopatra was. She was researching what she could turn Cleopatra into and what it would mean. Because this is a conscious political act. They didn't accidentally go like, oh, let's just make her black,
Yeah, it's kind of like the evolutionists, if you remember them, like the ones that believe the Earth is 6,000 years old. Like they would do the research just to find evidence to support their theory. They wouldn't do like the research in order to find out the truth.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of like this. It's like, well, Cleopatra is black. Let's do the research and see if it can fit. Oh, look, she was Persian, so clearly Persian black people.
Yes, she's intermarried in the Seleucid dynasty. Oh, where's that? Well, it's in West Asia. Oh, they must have been brown then. It's the
But like, no,
they
didn't
assumption.
even cast a brown person. It's like black, like just flat out Africa.
Yeah, because again, she realized what a political act it would be. She goes on, why shouldn't Cleopatra be a melanated sister? And there too, a melanated sister. Like, this is Cleopatra you're talking about here. One of the most famous people in history. She is not a melanated sister.
Yeah, why can't she be an American, Arch?
That's true. Why can't she be an American?
Why can't she be an American? Yeah, why can't she be a descendant of George Washington at this point?
And why do some people need Cleopatra to be white? Her proximity to whiteness seems to give her value, and for some Egyptians, it seems to really matter. Again, this is entirely from an American point of view, isn't it? Like, her proximity to whiteness. Do you think the Egyptians are like, yes, we like Cleopatra because of her proximity to whiteness?
Yeah, no, it's like even in my country it would be bizarre, but like we had voivodes instead of kings, right? And if someone was to make a black voivode, like Romanians would complain, and they would be like, well, it's the proximity to white. No, it's the proximity to Romanian, right? Like it's the ethnicity that's more important when you're outside of the US.
Some more whataboutism, saying that Cleopatra looked more like Adele than Elizabeth Taylor ever did, blah blah blah. Like, I don't care. Make her fat. Make her plump. I wouldn't even give a shit because I'd be like, yeah, that was probably the beauty standard at the time. But no, you didn't, did you? And you didn't hire a fat black woman to do this either.
Did you hear what the Egyptians say? Like why they don't like the fact that she's black?
I know some of the reasons they're saying it.
Well, they said that it's part of the American Afrocentrist movement, which believes that they believe that the Egyptians that currently live in Egypt are there occupying the land, like they're not the actual Egyptians. So like they want the African Americans to go in and replace them.
Yes, Afrocentrism is the idea that humanity started in Egypt, and Egypt was it was inhabited by black people, and then the black people were defeated by the whites and our brown cohorts, I guess. And ever since, we've been gaslighting them.
But hold on, if it was started there, and it was, where did the white people come from?
Presumably we were just some kind of like lesser race somewhere that decided to revolt against our masters, I guess.
Because like, yeah, but like, would it we be their descendants. So at that point, it's just like your descendants fighting against you. Like,
No. They came from Space V. Like, we're a completely
Oh.
different species than black people.
You know, someone is going to take you out of context for saying these things.
I know, but I am literally giving you the Afrocentrism worldview. Black people came from the stars. Like, that is part of their belief here.
Is that like part of the thing that I heard that Egyptians invented electricity, and it's like they have like the pyramids and there's lightning coming out of it and shit?
I believe that predates Afrocentrism again, but yes, it's sort of like that.
Is it like a Stargate where the pyramids are actually landing zones for spaceships?
I don't believe so. Like, God, it's there's a tribe in Africa that believes they came from a Sirius B or something like that, a star, in another nebula or galaxy or whatever. No, nebula. And
Kind of cool, actually.
they were brought to Earth for reasons by another alien species. And then we conquered them somehow.
Can they have like the Hatak mothership, like the one in Stargate? I like that.
Does it have
It's like
weapons?
the pyramid shape. Yes.
Then no, because clearly they didn't.
Mm,
Tragically.
it's unfortunate. But it's kind of cool. Like so like you have a tribe in Africa that believes in like sci-fi shit. That's nice. And it's like more advanced than Scientology.
Yes.
What? I didn't know that.
And again, just in case you need to further hammer it home, as production got nearer, I realized the magnitude and political nature of this job.
Oh, I love the fact that like first of all, she literally went out to do politics. Like
Yes,
the only reason she did this is to piss off right wingers. Like I can bet you as much as you want that this is how they think.
You know, she outright says it. The only reason she did this was political motivations. It has nothing to do with history. It has nothing to do with making a good TV series. It has nothing to do with telling a story. It is a political agenda, pure and simple, and she says it again and again.
Yeah, and then she's shocked. There's pick at your face. It's like I didn't realize
like,
how
wait.
political this is.
I'm getting pushback for my political ideology?
Yeah.
Why?
It's like politics is divisive. Who knew?
Because she's not just black, she's also a woman, you see, and she needs to be connected with her womanhood.
Womanhood. I don't get it though. Like, I think like if all the right wingers in the United States would complain, she wouldn't care. But it's because the Egyptians are complaining. That's why she cares.
In part. And she then knocks HBO's Rome. Rome portrayed one of the most intelligent, sophisticated, and powerful women in the world as a sleazy, dissipated drug addict. Okay, let's go through that. So, one of the most intelligent and sophisticated and powerful women in the world. She was at the time on the losing end of a civil war, having lost to her younger brother. She had only a handful of supporters left, and was literally saved by the Romans, who used her as a puppet queen.
That's so very intelligent.
It's like literally.
I mean,
why do we know about Cleopatra? Is it because of her high IQ that we know about her?
No.
No, it's because she was really fucking hot, apparently.
I mean, I could think of other women throughout history that are more intelligent than Cleopatra. That's for sure.
It's like, the thing is, no, she was
Marie
clearly,
Curie, for example.
She was clearly a talented manipulator. There's no doubt about that. She got the Romans going crazy over her. But, like, they blow this up to beyond belief. And that's the reason why I quite liked the HBO Rome's portrayal of Cleopatra. Because she was, like, a sleazy drug addict, sure. But she also had strength. And she did whatever she needed to do to get it done. Like, there's the scene where they're talking about her addiction, or hookah addiction, how it's so powerful, like, you can't give it up. And she literally, just to make a point, throws the pipe out of her tent and never looks back.
I haven't seen Rome, but that sounds like a good scene.
Oh, Rome is really, really good.
Is it on Netflix?
No, HBO.
I should watch it then. If it was on Netflix, I would.
Egypt didn't seem to mind that. Where was the outrage then? But portraying her as black? Well, like racist Egyptians.
Well, yeah, because it's an ideology that literally believes that Egyptians are evil.
Yeah. It's not just that I've directed a series that portrays Cleopatra as black, but that I have asked Egyptians to see themselves as Africans, and they are furious at me for that.
But yeah, like I'm pretty sure if she was asked to view herself as white, she would be furious.
Exactly. It's like, okay, Mr. Director, you're white now. Do you think she'd be okay with that? Like, you're not Iranian, you're not Persian, you're just a Greek now. You're a Greek. You're a white woman.
It's kind of funny because like someone suggested that Romanians are punks, and I was like, okay.
People are
But like, I'm pretty sure if you suggested that she's a punk, a person of non-color, she would be upset.
Oh yeah, absolutely. While shooting, I became the target of a huge online hate campaign. Egyptians accused me of blackwashing and stealing their history. Yeah.
I mean, is it really an accusation or is it the fact?
Yeah, so they didn't accuse you.
Yeah, they didn't accuse you. They pointed it out.
Exactly. Nobody was accusing you of you being goddamn wrist deep in the cookie jar. They just said, like, hey, we see you.
It's like an avatar. It's like, I see you.
Yeah, like there's no accusation here. Some threatened to ruin my career. Oh, terrible.
Oh, no. I mean, sooner or later it will happen. It's like they just wanted it before the ratings, not after, you know?
And finally, so was Cleopatra black? We don't know for sure, but we can be certain she wasn't white, like Elizabeth Taylor. We need to have a conversation with ourselves about our colorism and the internalized white supremacy that Hollywood has indoctrinated us with. Ah, yes. Egyptians are victims of internalized white supremacy.
Lady, let's do it like this, all right? Let's have a conversation where I can say anything and I don't get fired. And I guarantee to you it's going to be the best conversation you ever had in your fucking life.
Yep.
But I should be able to say literally anything I want, all right? And not have any repercussions for it. And I will talk to you about race 24 hours. Like, non-stop. I will, like... you will not be able to get me to stop once I bring it.
Yep. And most of all, we need to realize that Cleopatra's story is less about her than it is about who we are. Again, just to hammer it home for a third time, this is not about Cleopatra, this is about current year politics.
Mm-hmm. This is why I watch historical movies as well, to learn more about current year politics.
Yes. And also, again, we can be sure she wasn't white. No, we can actually be pretty goddamn certain she was white, because literally every single one in her family lineage was white. Like,
if she committed the crime, the cops would send an APB for a white woman.
Yes. Like, this
Occasion.
This is like looking at Queen Elizabeth and being like, well, she could have been black.
Well, she was on the BBC show.
Exactly. Like, it is literally, she would have to be some sort of genetic mutation, some sort of ridiculous mal-created creature. Like, every single parent, Greek, white, and suddenly, here's Cleopatra, African. I feel like there would be a strident discussion about parental lineage caused by her birth, frankly.
It's like that meme with the dog, and it's like, you need to start asking questions.
Literally, yes.
Be right back, 2 minutes. Sorry.
God damn it. But yes, there you go. That is the director of Cleopatra speaking out to power. This strong black woman, presumably. All right, let's see some of the super chats. Aaron Gross says Dev is friend, simple as. Correct. Like, in an argument, Dev is friend, simple as. Even if Dev is also retarded, simple as. You must hold a little protective hand over our little Dev and protect him from the idiocies that he commits to himself. Maranga2 says, unrelated to this, if Sargon runs another RPG, I would suggest that you lands use the Shadow of Demon Lord rule set. It was written by disgruntled Wizard of the Coast rules writer out of frustration with 5e. Maybe. Saul the Lich says, remember when Egyptians were running around burning, looting, and murking people in the name of the Pharaoh, George Floyd? Mike Ashamed says, want a darker Cleopatra? Go watch the notorious Cleopatra. All I have to say is, Miss White had a great costume, and please be 18 years or older before viewing. Question mark.
This just in. It's a Gundam. Are you aware of him?
Heard of him.
Yeah, he's a major YouTuber. Does video games and stuff. Apparently, his entire channel got demonetized for reused content.
Well,
but like his videos are highly edited.
Sounds like another day in paradise to me. Like, just literally, it's another day on YouTube, isn't it?
How many content creators did they decide to fuck with this month?
Oh, thousands. Like, the thing is, we don't even hear about the majority of this stuff.
Yeah.
You make enough enemies and they'll take away your shit. That's just how it works.
Like thing is, it's a Gundam like got fucked really hard by almost, I think it's like both CEOs now. So in the beginning he was making like really hilarious videos. He went after Twitch streamers, and they were absolutely hilarious. But then he grew too big, and he was informed that he should stop. So he starts milk toasting his content. Isn't funny anymore. Bleeps the curse words, like all that jazz. And now apparently his entire channel gets demonetized for reused content.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Like, I don't know enough about the guy's content to tell you anything about, anything at all. But literally, content creator gets demonetized is just like, it's Tuesday. It's YouTube now. And back in the day, you remember this because we were both there. When this happened, everyone would be up in arms. There'd be like stuff and be like, YouTube, why did you do this? And there'd be pressure campaigns. And often we would be able to reverse some of this stuff. But it's been like 6-7 years. Like, it just keeps happening. They literally outlast us. They just demonetize you. And if they get around it, they'll wait a month or two. And they'll do it again.
I'm curious how much of this is due to the new CEO.
I don't know, but there's just like, okay, reused content, right? Reused content. The fuck does that mean?
I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you in a bit. I'm looking at their thingy. So reused content. Short videos you compiled from other social media websites. Collection of songs from different artists, even if you have their permissions. Clips of moments from your favorite show edited together with little or no narrative. Content uploaded many times by other creators. Promotion of other people's content, even if you have permission.
Alright, so that just sounds like a blanket excuse to strike anyone referencing anyone else?
You have to do it a lot on your channel. It's basically... Channel uses someone else's content without making changes that add significant value. That's the overall theme.
Uh-huh.
So, like, if you were to play Tucker Carlson videos and do the Hassan Piker thing where you leave the microphone empty.
So, you mean, like, every single reaction channel on the site?
Yes.
I take it every single reaction channel on the site has totally been demonetized too.
Well, we don't really have that many reaction channels now, do we? Like, it's not like 2018.
I suppose.
Like, it's due to the TOS of harassment and bullying that most content creators don't even respond to each other anymore.
Well, that's the thing too. You got to be really careful with that because it is a law, it is a rule that is enforced only when YouTube feels it is. Like, has Vosh ever gotten struck for harassment, for example?
I think it may have like one community guideline strike, but I don't know what for. But for harassment in particular, probably not.
Yeah. Whereas Sargon's the Load Seeker channel, of course, got a strike for harassing the Grammys.
Yeah, he called, I believe, the celebrities to be Satanists or something like that.
Yeah,
But like
the
they
Grammys
were
are
dressed.
satanic or whatever.
Yeah, but they had the thing where there was literally a guy dressed as Satan.
Yes.
Like
Yes, they literally did.
that was they actually did do that. So
Yeah, no, unironically. Okay, I've here we go. I've found the picture of the guy, and so yeah, I mean, is it incorrect? Like, is it? Where's the lie?
I mean, is he LARPing or is he like for real? You know, like maybe that's the thing. You know, like is he actually worshiping Satan or is he LARPing?
God knows, but apparently the Grammys took that very personally, and Yito Delito, poor little Sagaruni. Prime McMustard says, Howdy Arch, have you heard about the crisis in Sudan? It looks like the Boogaloo might be in full swing in that country following the coup they just had. Sounds like another day in Africa.
I did not hear about it though.
Yep. It's, again, I know I sound callous when I say it, like it's just Tuesday, because I don't know this guy, so I can't really, muster much in the way of personalized sympathy. But obviously, I don't think people should be demonetized, by and large. Like, you need to do something really special to do so. And I hope it works out for him. But it's 2023. Like, we're all living on the edge here. Like, it's just,
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this earlier, but Tim Pool and The Quartering got some of their videos taken down. And the reason I find that interesting is because both Tim Pool and The Quartering not only have connections to YouTube, but they know the TOS.
Wow. Had connections to YouTube.
I hear Quartering coming up and saying, oh, well, the guy from YouTube tells me to do more shorts, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know if they still do or they had, but well, they do know the TOS, and they're very milquetoast in their commentary.
Yeah, but like so was the Lotus Eaters. Like it doesn't matter. Like again, if the TOS are the TOS are
the
not.
Lotus Eaters did have like some spicy videos.
They
like,
did.
I watched a couple of and I'm like, wow, they said that, like, okay. I mean,
but that's the thing. It's not that they're violating TOS. It's that they're being spicy. And the TOS is not a set of rules. It is a blanket check for YouTube to Yito Delito you when then so they choose. Because after all, the reason why they took away the Lotus Eaters monetization wasn't even because of the terms of service. It was because they were associated with a channel that had violated the terms of service.
Which, by the way, is not a violation of terms of service.
No, I mean, and
like, the
again,
only thing that I know,
if you go to the logical extreme there, like, we are both associated then with a channel that violated the terms of service.
I mean, the thing with association with a channel, from what I know, is that if one of your channels gets banned, so like you get like 3 strikes and you're out, then every other channel that you make gets banned. But that's the only rule they have regarding association. Yeah. So if one channel gets demonetized, that doesn't mean that your other channels will get demonetized.
Yep. Again, the terms of service are they're not a set of rules. They're just what YouTube uses to fuck with you when they choose to do so. That's about it. Oh yeah, chat asks what happened to Kib. Kib's off YouTube for a week because he used a thumbnail that was too spicy.
You showed nipples.
Yep. So, okay, let's actually talk about this a bit. So there's an interesting little thing that happened also recently that is part of the reason why Tim Pool and The Quartering and a bunch of others had YouTube videos removed, and that was the Bud Light controversy, which, I don't know if you know anything about Bud Light or that nonsense.
Yeah, I follow it.
So, from the Norwegian perspective, it's a normie beer brand that was like super popular as like the normie beer brand.
Mm-hmm.
And then they made a collaboration agreement with Dylan Mulvaney, who is a trans person.
Yep.
And people thought it was an April Fool's joke because it looked like one. Like she had this little Twitter thing of herself, clearly not quite knowing what the hell was going on with some beer cans with her face on it. and going like, "Oh, whatever team you like, go team," and stuff. And people are like, is this real?" And yeah, it was real, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the fact that they were selected, but it's also the way they treated the brand, right? It's like, oh, well, go team, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the HR lady, sorry, the marketing lady, goes on and says, oh, well, this was a culture of fratty, out of touch people, right? Like basically insulting the customer of the brand. And what I think is happening is like a lot of people are fed up with wokeness. I mean, in 2016, most people didn't even know what wokeness is. At the time, it was called social justice. Now it's called the wokeness. But it's so in your face. It's so obnoxious. And the fact that they believe individuals were just waiting for like one brand to step out of line, like just do that one extra push.
Well, this is a little bit of a perfect storm right here, because Dylan Mulvaney, too, is a controversial character in many ways. In large parts also because there's some clips out there of her dressing up like a little girl and how she always refers to herself as a girl, and I'm using the correct pronouns because it's YouTube. And there's something weird about it. Like, because she refused to refer to herself as woman. It's like, okay, very well. And that has made a lot of people raise an eyebrow too.
I don't know is why Dylan. Well, why Dylan in particular, though? Like, there have been 4 different companies all choosing Dylan as their ambassador. So you have Tampax, you have Nike, you have Bud, and I think there's one more. Like Tampax doesn't even make sense. Like, why wouldn't they pick a trans man, like someone that actually uses their product? Right? It makes absolutely no sense.
Well, I'm presuming that she has a really good agent. That's about my only explanation.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, okay, you're a company and you want to hire a trans person, but it's like, are there no others?
Are there no others?
Not whatsoever. Like, yeah. Like, has the world run out of... No, like...
And on top of this, again, you've also got the story surrounding this, which is the current pushback against trans people in general, right? Because people are getting sick of woke, and the trans milieu has become a very easy target for the anti-woke because, well, they're the people shooting up Christian schools. And I want to be careful here about accusing the trans group as a whole here, because I know several trans people, and most of them are sick and tired of wokeness. Like, this is not trans people, this is the LGBTQ politicization of gender, of sexuality, in my opinion. But they are a very easy target. It's like when you see people with those sweaters like protect trans kids and there's an assault rifle, you know exactly what they're referring to. Like, they behave, unironically, like the Muslims did back during the major terror nonsense, where they just couldn't shut up about it, and they made themselves a bigger and bigger target, and they actively antagonized people. And this is what we're seeing now as well. Active antagonistic behavior, and then they're like, why are people being angry at us? I don't know.
Well, I mean, okay, first of all, saying there's a trans genocide, right? Like, is that a subsection of the white genocide? You know? Because the thing is, like, one of them is something that white supremacists say, and the other one is something that apparently just goes overlooked. Like, it's perfectly fine to claim it exists, even though it doesn't, right? And then, imagine if another ideology did what they did, right? So you have, like, an ideology that encourages for, like, the Day of Vengeance, right?
Yes.
The Day of Vengeance movement. And then a member of that particular subgroup commits an atrocity. You know, like, wouldn't that be on the news? Wouldn't that be labeled as, problematic?
You know, they were going to hold a protest called Trans Day of Revenge, days after the shooting.
Day of Vengeance, I think it was.
Of Vengeance, yeah. Days after the shooting. Like, Can you goddamn imagine if there was a white day of revenge days after a shooting? Like, what the hell do you think would happen?
Yeah. You would have NGOs cracking down on it. You'd have banks just going after the people that are the leaders and seizing their accounts and shit. PayPal would be platform.
Absolutely. And yet here, we have a company that does this too. It's the perfect storm. Lots of normies hate this. And it's also, of course, as you mentioned, the absolute disregard for the product. Because a lot of people, like having a beer and having a watch of sports is a big deal for Americans. And here you have an officially sponsored person clearly, blatantly, obviously, proudly not having the faintest clue and having absolutely no interest in even rehearsing like a 30-second commercial line. Like, she can't even be bothered to pretend to give a shit about the thing she's advertising for. Like, obviously people are going to be offended.
I mean, it's happening what happened in the entertainment industry, right? Like, it's the same thing with the comics industry, insulting their customers, calling the previous customers to be out of touch, disconnected, sexist, bigots, misogynistic, all of that shit. And then you get activists in the company that don't care about comic books at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you put them in charge of your flagship comics.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has apparently cost the company some $5 billion already, as their stock prices took a pretty heavy-duty plummet over this. And as far as I know, they're still going down.
I mean, okay, so there's a difference between sales and stock.
Yes,
we don't know how many products they managed to unsell, because like that this is something that bewildered me, right? Like, usually a failed commercial is when you don't manage to sell anything, right? So like, you spend money on the commercial and it just didn't work, it didn't land. This is a commercial that managed to unsell beer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you had Chris Rock using the beer bottle as target practice. You had famous musicians making videos of themselves, like throwing away the beer that they bought for their tourney, you know, the music festivals and stuff.
Yep.
They literally unsold beer. Sorry about that. Like, that just didn't happen before. You know, like having a commercial that unsells your product.
Yep. The head of marketing also that came up with this had to take a walk, suspended or something, I think, or even was it fired? I think it was suspended.
It's very rare though. Like that this almost never happened. See, within the last decade, I don't know when it actually happened that a company tries to cater to right wingers. Like, it's usually the left wing that the companies try to cater. And I think this is why YouTube is cracking down on Tim Pool's and Quartering's videos. It's not because of Dylan, but it's because of the fact that they don't want right wingers to grow a consumer consciousness. Because the way Americans do business is they have a shit product and they antagonize right wingers. Like, that's within the marketing purpose, to antagonize right wingers. So that right wingers go on the internet and they start arguing with leftist people, and that generates buzz, and that generates, you know, like they talk about the brand and stuff. But that can only work if right wingers have no power, right? Like, if they literally can't do anything. Because if they do have power, then companies should just shut the fuck up and focus on making a good product.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, this was a very good target as well, because, again, they did everything wrong. The person in question has dubious tastes, shall we say. The person in question is not very endearing, outright annoying, I would say. It comes at a time... Yeah, controversial. It comes at a time shortly after a major shooting by a trans person specifically against Christian conservatives. It comes after years of attacking against the conservative community, and it also just shows absolutely zero respect for the audience, for the consumers, for the point of the brand. Like, they did every single thing wrong, and that's what caused such a massive blow-up.
The marketing lady further insults.
Yep.
And then the CEO comes up with an apology where he doesn't say sorry even once. He's basically like, "Oh, we employ a lot of people. Please don't boycott us because you're hurting the people we employ." And he obsessed left wingers as well by saying that they did something controversial, right? And from a left wing point of view, there's nothing controversial or divisive about what they did. So now you pissed off right wingers and you pissed off people on the left.
Yep. And the thing is, I want to contrast this to the opposite, okay? Because those damned right wingers, they're so intolerant. Okay, did you see the oh god, what was it called? Ultra Right Brew, the beer company that started up trying to profit off this?
No, but good for them.
So, well, you say that. They got their brewery deal cancelled.
Really?
Yep. Because this is what happens sort of on our side of the divide.
Yeah. That's see, a lot of people are saying that Bud is getting cancelled. No. Right? Cancelled is when you get your brewery deal cancelled, right? Yeah. Like what happens to Bud is just grassroots, just people not wanting to buy your product, right? Like you don't have banks canceling them. You don't have like contractors refusing to do deals with them. Because like that's the difference with cancellation. Like cancellation, you have a product, you have many people, probably millions of customers that want to buy your stuff, but like there's a middleman. There's someone in there that just has power over the transaction, and they refuse to do business with you, right? Yep. So maybe like a payment processor or a credit card or like something like that, which goes between you and the millions of people that want to buy your product. In the case of Bud, there is no middleman. It's just like people don't want to buy the beer, and apparently telling them, like, buy the beer, you fucking bigot, doesn't work.
Yep. Meanwhile, if you try to create a quote-unquote right-wing alternative, and to be fair, ultra-right beer, okay, that's very ballsy marketing sense in 2023. Their commercial, too, was cringe as hell, but it doesn't matter. Like, they should be allowed to have their cringy marketing campaign, but they are on the wrong side of history. And so they get their production deals taken away. People refuse to even take their money to produce a product.
It's interesting because it's what happened in the comic book industry with the comics gators, right? Like their comic books, from what I know, at least in the beginning, I don't know if it changed. They had nothing to do with politics. Like Ethan Van Sciver has like a cyber frog and shit, and they got so many obstacles in their way because like the companies that are woke, they don't want competition because they know like non-woke can actually do really good competition. I mean, there's a reason why they despise anime and manga, but they can't do shit about it, right? But they can do stuff against independent comic creators from the United States, which is what they tried to do in the beginning until they had to pretty much like create their own infrastructure.
Yep. And that is what's going to happen here too. Because again, this is what happens when our side tries to do something. You're not allowed. That is true intolerance. That's actual cancellation.
It's not even our side, right? Like it's just like someone that disagrees with the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what ideology ultra-right beer has. Like I don't know if they're on my side or not. I just know that they don't like the status quo.
Yep.
And I think like it would show like they don't like democracy, basically, is what it is, right? Because you would have like finally a democratic solution, and it's like, all right, well, which beer is going to sell more, right? Like you have this juggernaut, Bud Light, which is an established brand, versus this other one that's just like sprung up of the ether. Which one can sell more depends on like people voting with their wallet, and they don't want that. Like they don't even want the poll to happen.
No, because they fear that it might go against them.
Yes. And by the way, I saw the Bud Light commercial after 9/11. Right, it's a commercial about a horse, like the horses that pull the carriage, and they go through the heartlands of America, and then they reach, I think it's like ground zero, and they kneel. And I was told by a subscriber of mine that his mother doesn't drink beer, but after seeing that commercial, she went to the fridge and got a can of Bud Light. Like it's not fucking hard to advertise to people, basically.
And again, Bud is their entire thing is it's an American normie thing. You know, they've literally fully embraced, like, we are an American patriot normie brand thing. It is retarded for them to do this, and it's biting them hard, and I hope it continues to bite them hard.
It's what we see in entertainment, the mythical wider audience.
Yep.
But like the thing is, like, I noticed that woke people can't do math for some reason. Like, they think that if you have an audience and you cater to another audience, then automatically you get A plus B. But they don't think that, okay, but if you change the stuff that you already have, like, you don't own the audience, right? Like, you haven't enslaved them. Like, they can just leave. They can choose not to take your product. It's like, if I were to go to 50 Shades of Grey, which is predominantly viewed by women, right? Like, that's their main demographic. And I would be like, well, you know, let's add some supernatural in it so that men can watch. Let's add some machine guns. Maybe Jason Voorhees can make a guest star appearance, right? So that we can get like more teenage boys to watch 50 Shades. You may end up with teenage boys still not being interested, and the women that liked it leaving because they're not getting what they wanted.
Yes. When you have a product that caters to a specific group, ruining that product for another group rarely works.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it does, you know, but, like, is it worth the risk is the big question. And it has to be done properly. You can't just... What they usually do is, like, they look at their targeted demographic and they wonder, okay, what do these people hate? And they literally do that. It's almost like it's on fucking purpose.
I suspect it was a little bit on purpose.
Yeah. Like, what do these people like? Football. Okay, well, let's get a person who doesn't know anything about football and even makes a joke about it.
Mm-hmm. Like, again, immediately when they received that clip or whatever, they should have been like, nah, cancel this. She's obviously having a laugh at us.
And they even went as far as putting their face on the bottle. Like, it wasn't just like...
Oh, it was a full deal. Fuzzy Thinker says, Dylan did not learn from the Astolfo cosplay and his marketing of Monster Energy. That took off and boosted sales. Worst part is, I know what that's referencing. Obduello. So African Scientology, in referring to Afrocentrism. Yes, pretty much. Marksman of 117B says, pretty sure Cleopatra was a redhead, ginger side. There is supposedly the rumor that she was redheaded, but maybe, possibly.
Would make a lot of sense if she was.
Mark Ashamed says, the fourth estate has become the fifth column.
Do you think they do it on purpose at this point? Because, like, again and again, it's red-haired. Like, there is no fucking way. Like the law of average would dictate that at some point they would hop the red-hair. Like, for example, apparently they want to cast a black Hermione in the Harry Potter TV show. And, like, of course, like, obviously, why not? Why is it always the ginger? Every single fucking time, like, it has to be on purpose. There is no fucking way that it isn't.
The Harry Potter TV show needs to tread very carefully. Because the thing is, they've already pissed off the left wing to the point where they are boycotting it, full on, hardcore, etc. If they think that they're going to make a woke TV show, they're going to lose all the audience. Because right now, for better or worse, they are literally trying to make a conservative show.
The thing is, like, Reset Era, right? Like, you're familiar with that website, right?
Yes.
Okay. So their mods go on and say, if you talk about Hogwarts Legacy in any way, shape, or form, we will ban your ass, right? So the mods, first of all, like, they allow Hogwarts ads to play on the website. And secondly, like, from what I know, every single mod that I know had Hogwarts on their fucking Steam.
Yes, many of them did.
And they were playing. So when they say they boycott, they don't. They literally don't. I mean, they may claim that they do. They may, but no, because all of these people, right? You look at Twitter, 2016. World War II and Harry Potter references. That's literally all they did. If you go on Twitch and you want to be partner affiliated, they send you like the owl letter and with people dressed in witches and wizards. Like, these people live and breathe that shit.
Yep. But the thing is, it will cause the public outrage. And if the public outrage happens on both sides, that's going to be quite different. Like, even if it is good, then I think it still won't have the kind of penetrative power that Hogwarts Legacy had.
Do you think that... well, no, because Hogwarts Legacy was a new story, right? This is the same story. I'm not even interested in watching just because I know what's going to happen in the story. So I'm sick and tired of remakes at this point. But do you think a Black Hermione would piss off enough people?
Of course it would. Again, it is the current year in more ways than one right now. People are getting quite sick of wokeist nonsense, and they will respond poorly to seeing it so obviously. And with Harry Potter already having rejected its left-wing audience, it's not going to come back because of a token black character. Because they tried that by giving them like, oh, here's a trans character, and people still hated them. I don't think a Black Hermione is going to get them back.
It's kind of funny because someone made a mod. Apparently, the trans character in Hogwarts Legacy is voiced by a woman, but the voice changer comes into effect, and it makes her voice look masculine. But like, this is why, you know, it's so out of place. Like the character never talks about it or addresses it. It's just like a female character that sounds manly, right? Because of the voice changer. So there's a mod which unchanges the voice changer, and that mod got banned.
Of course it does. Because that's trans genocide, don't you know? Unironically, for those who are confused, by the way, trans genocide, that term does not actually refer to killing trans people. It refers to denying people who could be trans. Like, literally, they will call it trans genocide if you had a medicine that could treat their gender dysphoria. That would be trans genocide. Because there's now one less trans person.
It's kind of like if you're a Christian, Arch, and I denied the existence of God, and you would be very offended by it because your entire life is dedicated to the Christian ritual, like you fast, you pray to God, you go to church, you know, it's things that you would normally not want to do, but you got to do them in order to get to heaven. And I would just be like, no, I don't believe in God. And you would be like, you're genociding Christians.
Oh, I don't think even the Christians would be going quite that far.
No, but it's literally like that. You would say you're erasing Christians from existence because you don't believe in God.
Yes, that would be.
It's literally the argument, and this is why I complained it to the white genocide, right? Like one of them is on the ADL list. Like if you talk about it, you know, you're considered a white supremacist. But for some reason, when the left talks about the trans genocide, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah,
and entirely normal.
Even though we have seen that people who believe in that become unhinged.
Yes.
Like all the extreme radicals that we have seen believed in that and used that as an excuse for them committing crimes.
Because it is an obviously inflammatory term. Like,
yes,
trans genocide. It is the most inflammatory word you could possibly use to describe this thing, and it's incorrect.
Yes.
Right. Some more super chats. American Outlier says, oh my god, I am so tired of these bums, and they get mad why people in other countries find them annoying and make fun of them, just to troll them knowing they would be mad. They are whiny victims. Correct. Mark Shane says, I can't wait for Black George Washington. You joke. Until you don't joke anymore. Mark James says, Google has demonetized you for uploading a video on YouTube. Google keeps the ads on and all the ad revenue. Well, see, that's one of the funny things. Even if they demonetize your video, they still run ads on them. Demonetize just means that you don't get anything.
No, they add them. So I noticed what happens. Like for one more month, they keep adding ads, and yeah, you don't get anything. But after that, they stop. So if you were to get demonetized now, until the end of the month, they would still run videos on you.
It might depend, because I know there are channels that are far older than a month of demonetized who still have ads on their videos.
Really?
Yep. I mean, they were running ads on Count Dankula's stuff when he was demonetized properly. When he was like unofficially demonetized, where they just gave him the yellow symbol no matter what he did, until the phone call to Susan.
That's really interesting. I didn't know. So, for example, when Sargon got demonetized, I know that for the rest, the end of the month, he actually got ads, but after that, he didn't. So if I go on his channel now, there's no ads.
He's an especially bad person, though.
Well,
Scarfy the Strange says, you'd think the Wokesters would make a movie on Queen Kandak instead, as in the African queen that fought the Romans and actually won. Well, for a time at least. But yes, that was the Kush kingdom, wasn't it? I believe.
I think so, yeah.
But again, you don't want that. You don't want that, because that's not popular, because nobody knows about that. Like, the Kingdom of Kush is not a popular thing, but Cleopatra is.
Well, apparently, this is another interesting thing, right? Like, the whole Netflix series about that is about African culture. You'd think they would talk about the Zulu. You'd think they would talk about African mythos and the religions in Africa. So, no.
Well, to be precise, it's not about African culture. It's about African queens specifically.
Pharaohs.
No, queens. The series is about African queens.
Yeah, but like she's a pharaoh.
It doesn't matter.
I'm really curious. Like, what other African queens are they? Because like the Africans were very patriarchal as well.
Like every other civilization on Earth.
Yeah, like I'm really curious. What are they going to go with after Cleopatra?
Well, there's a handful. The thing is that they're almost entirely unknown because, frankly, they did nothing. The thing is, most of these, they did something on a local scale, you know? They did something in the neighborhood, shall we say. But very few of them affected anything beyond their immediate sphere of influence, and so none of them are really well known in the world.
Wasn't there like a movie that they made, the Warrior Queen, and apparently it was very insulting for African Americans because they were basically representing the slavers in a good light.
Yes, the Woman Queen.
The Woman Queen, yes.
And even that was, of course, misleading because she wasn't a queen. Or the Woman King, even worse. That was the fucking retarded title.
Yeah.
The Kingdom of Dahomey, which totally didn't want to have anything to do with slavery anymore. And that's why they fought wars and enslaved people and sold them.
Yeah, like most Americans don't even know that. Like, I was shocked when I found out. Like they thought that white people went to Africa and captured black people and sold them as slaves, and it's only that whites did it. Like they don't even know about the Islamic Empire. So like literally that's the version that a lot of leftist Americans believe.
Yes, that is the cultural zeitgeist in America. Slavery is a thing that happened in America to Africans, not something that happened to Africans by other Africans.
Yeah.
Slavery also has no history beyond the American slave trade.
And if you tell an American that, hey, did you know like there were black slavers, like slave owners, they don't know that.
It's because it's not taught. American Outlier becomes a member. Welcome. Mark DeShame says, Alec Baldwin, charges have been dropped. The judge from California has determined it was the gun's fault. Yes, that brings me beautifully onto the next topic.
I actually studied that, but read it first and then I'll...
Well, So the apparent judgment was that the gun did up and do it because it was mechanically improper, apparently. This despite the FBI report that stated that it couldn't have been the gun.
From what I understand, they said that new evidence has come to light, and they do not have time to investigate it until the new trial. So they're dropping the charges to continue the investigation, and at any point, Alec can be recharged again.
Yeah, potentially. But even then, is that likely? So apparently, according to this, it became evident to prosecutor the gun could fire without pressure on the trigger due to worn joints and that the trigger control was not functioning properly, according to the source.
I mean, that you should have trigger discipline, shouldn't you?
Well, that doesn't matter.
That would have.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. They're saying that the gun fired by itself without pressure on the trigger.
Well, even then, like, trigger discipline dictates that you shouldn't point the gun at anyone. So,
oh, that's not trigger discipline, but yes.
Well, from what I know, trigger discipline is like this, right? Always consider that the gun is loaded, even if it's not. Never point it at another person, and never put your finger on the trigger unless you're willing to fire. So, assuming that what you're saying is like the gun fired itself, if you don't point it at another person, it shouldn't matter that it fired itself.
Trigger discipline is specifically the act of not having your finger on the trigger. The rest is just
my bad. Gun safety is what I wanted to talk about, yeah.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. Is it theoretically possible that the gun could be so worn down, like so poorly maintained or so screwed up that drawing it quickly or shaking it roughly could get it to fire? Yeah, it is. I mean, it would have to be beat to shit. Like, it'd be weird. It would be a 1 in a million thing. And that would also mean that he didn't have a safety on or anything, etc.
Take into account that for criminal court, beyond the shadow of a doubt is the burden of proof.
Yes, but like again, this is a microscopic chance. Absolutely microscopic.
That's the shadow, Arch.
No, because it's never applied. It is never applied. There are people who are like people go to jail for testimonies. You know, one people's testimony.
I guess the way it works is that you only need one jury, like one juror. That's all you need.
Because the thing is, too, it was a Colt 45 revolver, which also means that he must have had the hammer cocked as well.
What I don't get, why do they have guns that can kill people on set, though?
Well, it's a blank, but that's the thing, too. Like, theoretically, a blank could kill someone, but you would have to be point effing blank. Like, there are so many things about this case that just doesn't make sense.
So let's recap. Okay, a blank, which can theoretically kill people.
Yep.
It's so worn out and so rusty that this particular one can discharge if shaken, not stirred. And it was also cocked.
Yep. And it just so happened to be pointed in the direction of the cinematographer.
Yeah.
It's a long series of pretty ridiculous coincidences.
Like, at this point, I would rather believe that Agent 47 was on set. You know, Hitman.
Chap also saying that it was live ammo, apparently.
Why? Why would you have live ammo in a movie?
Because they were shooting at targets or something off range, I guess.
But even then, it's like you have CGI. You got oh god.
You know, like that too is retarded. Like again, a real bullet. Okay, don't. Just don't.
It's a movie. It's a movie, and we have the technology to make gunfire look realistic. I mean, do they use real guns in what was it? The one with Keanu Reeves.
Supposedly because the
one with
armor screwed up.
John Wick. Okay, did they use real guns in John Wick?
I don't know.
Legit question. I don't know. This is why I'm asking.
I don't know.
Because if they don't, then like the gunfire looks pretty realistic in that movie. So like, why can't they do it?
Again,
Like
there's too many contradicting things about this entire case. I think it's 98% just people making stuff up because it was a famous thing, it was a big deal. Because again, a revolver, you would have to cock back the hammer because he was practicing a cross draw apparently, so he'd have to cock it back and then slip, or just the hammer would just like loosen and hammer down on the round, etc. It's a series of ridiculous nonsense.
And the blank manages to actually injure someone to the point of death.
Or he had to have a live round in the weapon because somebody gave him live rounds because they couldn't tell live rounds apart from blanks.
Because this is the thing that I don't get, right? Like people say, well, blanks can kill it. I'm like, well, what's the point of a blank then? Like I thought like the whole point of a blank is that it doesn't kill people.
The thing is too, it's pretty easy to see the difference between a blank and a real bullet.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't know.
Because blanks don't have bullets in them. There's just the cartridge.
Okay. But even then, right? Like the idea that a blank can kill, it's confusing for me because I felt like the whole point of a blank is that it doesn't kill.
Well, yes,
right?
But if you're close
so
enough.
that you, yeah, like the idea of a blank is so that you shoot movies with it, right? Like some actor points a gun at someone else, it goes bang bang, but like there isn't any actual discharge, right? So it just creates the illusion of.
And yeah,
am I wrong? Like,
I know. We see you saying that it was not a blank. But again, like even that too is retarded. It's just another point in the retarded thing. So he's got blank rounds and live rounds in his belt. He can't tell the difference. So he loads live rounds. Again, they're very obvious. The armorer, the professional armorer, couldn't tell the difference and gave the actor live rounds. These live rounds then found themselves in a revolver that was so shoddy that quick drawing it across your chest is enough to see the hammer fall down and activate the round. It's just retarded. It is actually retarded.
I think if it wasn't an actor, case would have already been closed with a conviction.
There's also the people claiming that it wasn't them exercising, that he actually pointed the gun at somebody and thought it was like a joke to pull the trigger, etc. Like, there's so many contradictory thing here's.
That one is actually more plausible, to be honest.
Honestly, yes.
And even then, it's like, if he thought he had a blank, then, you know, and you think that blanks don't injure people, then it would have been different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the armorer is the person to blame here.
Well, again, it depends. If you gotta then assume that they're correct when they say that the weapon could fire on its own.
I mean, it's possible, but like, from what I know, like a revolver is more difficult to fire on its own than other types of guns.
Again, the core of it is
thing, yeah.
They are now claiming that according to sources, that the revolver could fire because it wasn't functioning properly. So the court is saying, or sources for the court are saying, the gun done did it. The FBI said that the weapon couldn't be fired without pulling the trigger. So all of the other details are basically irrelevant. It just depends on who is correct here. Is the original FBI report correct? In which case, Baldwin must have pulled the trigger. Or is these new sources correct? And the revolver was so shoddy somehow that it fired by itself.
Oh, well. I guess we'll find out later if he gets recharged or not.
I doubt it. I very much so.
Me too.
Very much so.
And apparently the armorer is going to be exonerated as well.
I don't know. She might be thrown under the bus.
We'll see.
Hyol says, one of the reaction channels I watch, LFR Family, Move to politics. He disliked the left woke mob because mob could be why they're demonetizing reaction channels. Maybe.
No, I don't. And God damn it, the reused content is a very old thing. Like, it's not new.
Adoman says Dead Island 2 PC is actually pretty decent from what Kibbs played. It reminds me of Might and Magic Dark Messiah with its focus on environmental kills. I saw some gameplay too and it looked kind of boring, but... Maybe. We'll look into it. Federation Prime says, Short Fat Otaku's most recent comment on the Pikami drama are yet another example of why Toronto deserves to be cleansed in atomic fire. Again, friend. Must protect friend. Friend said stupid things in stupid way. Hell, I said much the same thing too. It's like, okay, you shouldn't let this bully off the internet, but everyone has circumstances. And those circumstances are different for everybody. And hell, there are people who just shouldn't be YouTubers as well. And they're up to everyone who decides when they don't want to be there and don't want to do the thing. And there's not necessarily a reason to criticize them for that. Which I think was the point Dev was trying to make, but he did it in retard.
I'm going to have a stream with him. I'm going to straighten him out.
The Real Holsnader says, Don't tell Dev that, Arch. He'll say you're dumb and there's nothing political about what they did. Well, in this case, then, Dev is wrong. Don Pete XX. So, someone that doesn't have breast or a uterus and looks like has never drank beer from a can is chosen to advertise bras, tampons, and Bud Light. Bruh. Oh, yeah, no. Absolutely. Like, again, this chick has a very good agent. That is literally the explanation as to why that happened. Very good agent.
I don't know. I can't explain it. I mean, I'll go with yours, but it's bizarre.
Mark Ashamed says, in consumer capitalism, consumers are what is being traded as investors drive the market. It is only one step away from collectivism, which will happen when the state becomes the principal investor. Sort of. But in this case, the stock has a lot more say in whether or not it wishes to be traded. Because consumers can simply go elsewhere. They often don't, but they can, in theory.
It's kind of hard if, like, all the other companies are doing the same thing.
Yes. Like, one of the biggest issues is that the companies have been allowed to grow too large. Like, Bud Light should never be a company that could take a $5 billion stock loss and shrug. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That is the problem. The FTC and the anti-competitive measures in America have simply not done their jobs. Like, Microsoft should never have been allowed to happen. Google should never have been allowed to happen. These companies shouldn't exist in their current form because by their very presence, they dominate the entire market.
Yeah, like, many people don't realize that every single app you buy on the internet, you pay like a 30% extra tax because of Apple and Google.
Yep.
Like, everything on the internet should be 30% cheaper.
Obduello says, highly recommended the Tetris movie. Great soundtrack and pacing. It's a dramatization of the licensing war to buy the rights from Russia. That could be funny. I did see some of that. And it looked interesting.
I didn't, but I'll check it out.
War Turkify say, poor example, V. I'm fairly sure a lot of women would enjoy the heroine needed to be saved from a serial killer. Heroine? Heroine. Heroine, I guess, as in hero. That's heroine.
Yeah, but that's the damsel in distress trope.
To be saved from a serial killer. If not, start simping for the killer.
Yeah, but this is the damsel in distress trope. You can't. No.
Yes, that spells heroin. I thought it spelled heroin. I was like, heroin? That spells heroin. So Jard says the KKND games have been added to Steam. Ooh. Okay.
Crash, Kill, and Destroy?
Yep, Crash, Kill, and Destroy.
I don't know if I can handle the old graphics, but I remember the dog. I like the dog.
I can't...
I think the dog's name was Max.
There it is. Crush, Kill, and Destroy 2. Crossfire. Nice. Yeah, the graphic is... old, stylized, shall we say. But
One thing, yeah.
those were pretty cool games back in the day.
They were. Again, the dog. I really like the dog. His name is Max. He's got 4 arms and he's got machine guns. It's really good. You had 3 characters, Archie. I see you don't remember. Your silence is concerning me. So you have the janitor, and he's got like the parachute, and he's got like the zoom in ability. You got the dog, which is Max, and he does the combat shit. And then you have the professor, which uses radioactive toast in order to kill enemies.
V?
Yes.
You're talking about an entirely different video game.
No.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Let me check.
KKND is Crush, Kill, and Destroy. It's a strategy game.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I talking about then?
I know the game because you have a giant stupid helmet. But I can't remember its name either.
MDK, people are saying?
MDK? Yeah, that sounds right, maybe. Yep, MDK. That's the one. Because you have a giant stupid helmet in that one. That's like a sniper rifle.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's. Oh my fucking god, the graphics of this as well. Let me give it to you.
Oh yeah, if anything, MDK has even more old school graphics.
Oh god, link channel. Here we go. It was such a good game though, like for its time. I mean,
KKND is really good though. Might have to play it again. It was a good game.
I'm looking at MDK and it was so advanced for its time. I mean, you have like mini games and you got various things where you're like on a skateboard and you're shooting enemies. It's actually really cool.
Oh yeah, it was a Shiny title. Shiny were absolute goddamn saints. They were so good back in the day. They made such awesome games. But none of them ever really had the success that it should, which is a tragedy.
Well, MDK was successful. I mean, it got a sequel.
Sorta. Like, it's... Shiny was always just kind of bobbing around the watermark. They did Earthworm Jim. That was pretty good. MDK was, of course, great. They did Messiah, which was weird as hell. Then Sacrifice. Sacrifice got a bum deal. Like, it was too far ahead of its time. It genuinely was, because the reviewers were
like, it was a strategy game, yeah.
Command wheel is really dumb. Now the command wheel is in every strategy game ever.
I don't understand though why everyone likes Sacrifice, like literally every single person I talk to.
But because it's a brilliant game.
It is, but it was a failure. Like
it was a failure mostly because of its marketing. Like the marketing messed up. They didn't market it well or nearly at all. And it also got slammed in a lot of the review media at the time. Because, again, it was too far ahead of its own time.
Yeah, that's interesting. No, but the thing that I find interesting...
It was 2000.
Everyone likes it. Like, I haven't spoken with a single person that doesn't like Sacrifice. And yet it didn't sell. I'm like, how the fuck? Like, so you guys played it, but it didn't sell.
It's also the problem that it was the year 2000, right? And we were kind of in between marketing trends. Because...
Was it go on.
Yeah, because in 2000s, we were beginning to move away from the print media. We were beginning to move more and more online, and Sacrifice didn't really follow that trend. And so nobody heard of it. And the few people who did hear of it heard it from the print media at the time, who just didn't like it enough. Like it yeah, it was a tragedy. It was a real tragedy.
Yeah, there's another game that I really liked, and it didn't get a sequel. Cygate, Mind Conspiracy.
Never heard of it.
It was on PlayStation, I believe. You basically had superpowers and psychokinetic shit. It's kind of cool.
Prime McMustard says, what angers me most about the Alec Baldwin case is that it was a goddamn single-action revolver that requires manual cocking of the trigger to even load properly. P.S. The Western media is accusing a Russian Wagner group of supporting the coup in Sudan. Why not? I think the Wagner group is honestly busy right now, but American Outlier says, V, you know queens are a BBW, big black woman, with 5 kids by 4 men. Quince.
I did hear that, yes.
Midwest Finest says black people are naturally conservative, just in America we sold out our values for validation from white liberals. The thing is,
They
most
very
immigrants are naturally conservative.
Yeah, they're like I find it interesting because like Democrats, most of them like are atheists, but like black people in America are probably some of the most Christian people out there, like some of the most Christian demographics.
Yes.
Same with the Latinx.
The problem with the blacks, the problem with the blacks. There you go. The problem with the African American community. There we go. Is more like there's been a cultural shift there. Like the fatherlessness is absolutely a part of it. The gangster culture is absolutely a part of it. The fact that they don't like education, that's seen as a weak thing, etc. There are so many things that have made them very vulnerable to today's leftist agenda, which basically promises them the blood and soil, the Vaterland, the mystical past, etc. It's a bad combination.
How many times are you going to try to get clipped today, Arch?
I don't know. Well, at least once more. Spear Silver says they shouldn't ban guns from any movie Baldwin is in. They should ban guns from any movie Baldwin is in. Perhaps. Drill Hossein says it is beyond reasonable doubt, V. You could have an undocumented twin that shares your DNA, and that's why it was at the crime scene. But ... Yes.
I don't think we have the technology to do that.
So John says,
if we did, like literally, if we did have the technology to clone people, then yeah, like literally, forensics would have to change as a science.
Well, no,
it wouldn't be admissible in court.
Well, no, we do have. This isn't technology. This is biology, if anything. Yeah, like there are twins with DNA that are very, very similar to the point where a routine check will not determine the difference.
Yeah, and if you are a person that has a genetically identical twin, right?
Yeah, but we don't know about it.
You have like... What?
Yeah, you could have an undocumented twin, says the Super Chat.
Oh, an undocumented twin?
Yes.
Well, if you don't bring it up, then it's not admissible. But like, if the court finds out during the investigation that you do have an undocumented twin, and he shares like your same DNA and blah, 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 and he could have been in that area, then yeah, like they're probably going to do what they did to Alec Baldwin. They will drop the charges and keep investigating.
And so Josh says,
that's literally how it works.
A blank bullet is a casing filled with gunpowder. Yes. Urashime Otaro says, blank can harm if close or an object in the barrel. Yep. Dorlife Dan, Bud has not surrendered. They just gave her time off with pay and hope to fool people who understand the terminology. They have made no real apology and no changes. The boycott continues. Good. I hope it does continue. I hope Bud Light goes goddamn bankrupt at some point. That would be my ideal. Right. Okay. Let's talk about the gun game, shall we? Because we need to talk about the gun game too. I'm going to put a link in the link channel so you can look at it. Now, normally, playing trailers off YouTube is a very bad idea, but since this is a trailer for a game, I'm going to take the chance here and show it to chat. It's probably
why is it a bad idea to play trailers? I play trailers all the time.
Oh, that's a very bad idea because they're probably going to get copyright claimed.
Really? On a trailer?
Yeah, every time I've done it, it's done it. So, what you're seeing right here, let me actually just set it to loop.
Yeah, it's actually a video game. It's mind-boggling.
Yes. So this is a game called Unrecorded. Now, this is not actually graphics at all. Because if you look carefully here, just as he enters like the door, you can see that the door is very clearly like skewed, like it's like bowling out. That is because what they're using here is these are not computer generated graphics. Now the dude himself and the gun are graphics. Everything else is a real set where they've basically taken one of those Google cameras, the round ball thingies, into. And then walked through it so that they've made a perfect layout of the entire thing. So basically, this is like Google Maps Earth but with guns, and that's why it looks
That's so
so
fucking cool.
incredibly
I was
realistic.
wondering how they did it. I thought it was AI, but like that's really cool.
But it is not an on-rail shooter. You can go wherever you want, you can lean, etc. You can interact with the world, you can fire, reload, all of that shit. All of that is gameplay. And people have had quite a reaction to this because it does look stupendously realistic.
Yeah.
Like if you don't pay attention, to like the way the body's ragdoll kind of weird, if you don't pay attention to how the hands look and how everything's a little bit blurry and how the shaders are a bit off, etc., this would absolutely fool someone into thinking it was real.
Yeah. But it's a video game.
Yeah. And a lot of people, this has raised a lot of things. So some people claim that this was actually real and they were totally killing people to make this video game. It's like, okay,
yeah,
calm down.
That used to be made back in the day when movies came out, and they were like doing groundbreaking special effects. I think like one movie actually got investigated by the cops to see if they actually tortured people on set, and it was like, no, it was just special effects.
Yeah, obviously. That was one part of it. Other people were like saying that you were playing a cop in this, and that was awful, like a glorification of cop cams, etc. And that was unrecorded, basically trying to make it sound like the cops were just shooting people willy-nilly, and this was just, the day in the life of a police officer in downtown New Mexico or something. God fucking knows.
Interesting how these people never complain about gangster songs that glorify actual gang culture and drive-by shootings and shit. Like that's fine. But like a video game where you play a cop, that's over the top.
Yep, that's over the top. And there was also the idea that this, the age-old argument, right? That, oh, this is too much, this is too realistic, it's a killing simulator, it'll train people to murder, etc. Here's the thing.
Yeah, no, they're basically making the argument that it desensitizes people from violence, right?
Yes.
Like they see this, and my point is like the news desensitizes people from violence.
Yes.
Like if that's what you think, you just watch CNN and you're going to see more shit.
And the thing is, I don't believe it does, because everyone who watched this were like, wow, okay, that looks a bit looks a bit gross. And we had this argument in the 80s, and we had this argument in the 90s, and we had this argument in the 2000s, and every time we've had a graphical improvement, we've had this argument. It's just that this is the first, graphical improvement, quote unquote, that has happened in so long that we've kind of forgotten about it again.
I mean, it's not something that is probably going to be reproduced in the future, but it looks so fucking good.
Yeah. Now, there's already some people working on similar technology. There was a horror game, for example, using the same technology, and I'll tell you this, chat. You're gonna pay me a lot of money if you want me to play like that, because goddamn it, the trailer looked fucking terrible. Like, hyper-realistic graphics in a forest with horror elements. Like, I would just piss myself. Actually, literally.
The thing with this technology is that you actually need the set, right?
Yes.
So if you have like a big game, it would be very costly to, like, even a AAA studio would probably have difficulty in just, because imagine like okay, so Half-Life, like how much, like entire kilometers you'd have to use cameras and stuff in order to create it.
Yes, you would need enormous sets, and if you were going to do anything like fantasy or sci-fi, you would also need to make that in there as well. Now, obviously, you could supplement a little bit with 3D technology here and there, as they've done in this trailer too. Like, you can see some of the beer bottles on the ground, for example. They look quite 3D-esque. You can see some of the effects are very 3D, like the explosion looks super goddamn fake, etc. Little things like that. But this will probably be the future in some regard. Like, when people figure out how to make, like, stock buildings that they can populate with CGI interior, for example, then they can probably start doing this on more of a budget.
Multiplayer games in this would be great, right? Because like if you have a multiplayer map, you don't need it that big. You just need an arena.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use this technology for that. Porn, another thing, would be amazing. But
Yeah, but we basically already got this in the form of VR porn, and it's just a movie that gives you fisheye lens vision.
I don't know. Like some people were addicted to VR porn.
The developer also made a commentary on it as well, saying, "I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but this level of realism in video games should be heavily moderated in shooters for anyone under a certain age. I hope parents do their job." And that's where he could have stopped his argument, in my opinion. This level of realism for shooting and killing makes me feel uncomfortable, as if I'm watching a real leak from a military or police operation. The clear distinction between real and fake is necessary, but this level of realism, in my opinion, gives real credibility to the nonsense politicians have been spewing for years about video games conditioning young people to lose a sense of empathy towards violent tendencies or situations.
Wait, this is the developer?
Yes.
If he thinks this game is that fucking evil, why should I buy it?
That's true. Why are you making a game that desensitizes people to
like
violence?
if like literally, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. Why are you doing this?
Like I don't believe what you're saying, right? Which is why I would purchase the game. But like if you genuinely believe what you're saying, then why should anyone buy your game?
Yeah, you're clearly a bad person. But that's the thing. I don't think this desensitizes people to violence. I think this is just the next level of graphics. That's what I think.
Yes.
I literally believe that even in the future where you have like holodecks, you're still going to have an innate hesitance in the human form to conduct violence against people.
Take into account that when we grew up, video games were much more brutal. Like we had the Manhunt, we had Soldier of Fortune.
Oh yeah. Like, video games were way more over the top.
Like, in Soldier of Fortune, if you shot someone in the belly, you'd see their guts coming out.
Uh-huh. Soldier of Fortune had that as part of their PR campaign, that it was so incredibly brutal. And it was.
Mortal Kombat, like, in the beginning, the fatalities weren't over the top. They were, like, literally just killing people. By the way, do you remember Manhunt? Like, you could kill someone with a wire.
Yep.
Or a plastic bag.
It was also a big controversy at the time. Like, you're like, it's too brutal.
I mean, it was. And it was perverted as well. Because, like, the guy that was orchestrating it, like, he was jacking off to you killing people.
Yep. And the thing is, that really is not a problem. Because it is a crazy game. And it is a game, an over-top game, where you do over-the-top shit.
Yeah.
Simple. And people are plenty capable of telling the difference. Until we get, like, straight-up holodecks, I don't think that's going to change.
I mean, even in VR, I think, like, there was a game which got banned on Steam. Succubus something. It was, like, really too realistic. Because, like, you played it in VR. It was, like, a Doom game. And I think like you could even use abortions in order to gain health, and it got banned from Steam because it was like it looked too realistic. That's what the Steam said.
I remember there was one game that was a little bit heavy duty in that regard. Yes, quite over the top. Hatred or something? No. Yes, no, maybe.
Hatred wasn't over the top. It was like just an edgy game where you play the serial killer, right? And you go out and you shoot people.
Yeah, it wasn't that. I've forgotten the title.
But it was like it was like really bad in gameplay and everything. But like it only sold because it was over the top.
Agony. That was the game I was thinking of.
I heard something about that. Yeah.
Yeah, Agony was pretty heavy duty as well.
I miss edgy games.
Well, you're not going to be able to have them much longer, as we also have another little thing that happened recently. So I'm sure you've heard of Garry's mod, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so the creator of Garry's mod has come out with a poll saying, so it might be an obvious question, but these Nazi game modes in Garry's mod, we should be banning them, right? There's no legit reason for they exist, right?
Asking the internet that.
Yes. So it's a very leading question, I think. So apparently,
Yeah,
there are
I know.
Nazi game modes in Garry's mod that they need to be banning, apparently. I don't know enough about Nazis in Garry's mod to really comment. But I did think something was really funny here. So, only a British person could possibly say anything like this. Like, we are going to ban your game. This isn't a loss of freedom.
Do you know what's interesting though? The fact that they see Nazis everywhere.
Oh, of course.
Like, how the fuck did they even found them in Garry's mod? Like,
and why did they find them now after like what, decades or something?
Yeah, and it's also the argument that they use to push gay marriage. It's like what you do in your bedroom is none of your business. Is none of everyone else's business, right? But like, you literally play those mods in your bedroom because like you install them on your computer. No one has to see them. No one has to experience them. It's like you do it in your own, in the sanctity of the bedroom. And yet they're like, no, you're not allowed.
You're not allowed.
Which reminds me, like Resident Evil 4, like they want to remove the naked Ashley mod.
I'm surprised they haven't already.
Yeah, they asked. I think like Nexus mod, they asked to remove them, and it's like, by the way, I found out why Blizzard removed the Overwatch porn. Like, do you remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you know why they removed it?
Why?
Because when you would search for Overwatch on Google, the porn was the first thing that popped up. Like, it was more popular than the game itself.
That makes sense, because it is better than the game itself.
I mean, honestly, it actually got a lot of people playing it, because like they would see the porn and they would be like, oh, maybe I should play some Overwatch, because like, right? And it was like a bad marketing move to remove it.
I do like him this though. I was like, this is a guy who made a sandbox mod, basically, who's now taken upon it himself to police what people are doing in his sandbox. And it is not a loss of freedom. He is not he's not taking anything away from you, even though he's taking something away from you.
Yeah.
And it's not anything new because, you know, they've taken down servers before.
No, it's just like them just virtue signaling. Look how progressive I am. I'm taking some mods that no one cares about.
Like, it is so eminently British, isn't it? It's like, we're not taking away your freedoms. I'm just taking away your things.
Yes.
They pay. They should be allowed to do whatever they want. Nope, is the response there. Freedom of expression? Nope. I do like the fact there is not even the attempt to engage with the argument. It's just like, nah.
I mean, what can we expect? It is 2023, right? It's interesting that they don't go after communists or Islamists or, you know, any other radical group. It's just like the far right.
Yes. It's the far right. Because, of course, there's no mention of those damn communist groups or anything. You know, there's no Nazi games, Soviet game modes, communist game modes, you know, anything like that. I don't even know if it exists, but there's no mention of that. Well, Antifa groups, something like that. No? It's dumb. And again, it's not like anybody cares. I haven't heard anybody mention Garry's mod in God knows how many decades now, so it hardly matters.
Yeah, it is an ideological thing, right? It's virtue signaling.
Yes. I don't think it's worth much of anything, but again, it is. I thought it was funny because it is such an eminently British thing to take something away from you and then look you in the eyes and go like, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I didn't do that, there was also the funny little Kotaku article. Resident Evil 4 Remake totally failed Ashley Graham, because remember, like, this is one of those points that just needs to be reiterated time and time and time again until it finally hits the correct people. It doesn't matter how much you virtue signal. It doesn't matter how far out of your way you go to please these people. It will never, ever be enough, because it can not be enough.
Ashley does have a personality. I played the game. She does have it. It's the personality of a person that's traumatized by the events around her.
Well, they don't want that. They want her to be a strong female character.
But, like, she is strong, like, given the circumstance. The fact that she's not just curled up in a corner crying, which is what I would do, is pretty strong.
Not a strong female character, V. A strong female character would rip the gun out of Leon's hand and save herself, goddammit.
I guess. I mean, there are a couple of moments in the game where she does that. Like, after you're fighting
Of course it's an archive. It's Kotaku.
You're fighting the village boss. Like the room is burning and she comes in and saves you. And then there's another scene where Leon is trapped in a cage and she rescues him. So, like, she does have her moments.
So you agree with Kotaku? Good.
No, I'm saying that she does have a character.
He's agreeing with Kotaku chat. Attack.
I'm not agreeing with that. But, like, you know what I wanted to say is that Resident Evil had the most popular character recently, the Booba lady, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it does show that having sex in a slasher game sells, because, like, America used to do that back in the 90s.
Of course.
Like, almost every single slasher movie had, like, the cool lady in the swimming suit just in the pool, right? Because, like, you would use titillation to get people like you who don't like horror to play or to watch it, and then you add the horror element.
You're gonna need a lot more than a pair of tits for that.
Well, I think, like, the tits would work, though. I don't know.
The thing is,
but, like, it worked for other people.
It's not her character. That's not the point of this character. Like, she's some sort of cute robot, says the thing, right? And yes, that is actually entirely correct, because that is her purpose. Ashley's not there to be the main character. Ashley is not there to be the one that saves the world. Ashley is there to make you, the player, feel better about playing the video game. That is her purpose. And by the way, and she does it well.
You have Ada Wong, which is, like, the girl boss in the thing.
You have her too.
Yeah.
And that is more than good enough, because, again, the entire purpose, if you had a game that was from Ashley's perspective and she was still useless, I'd agree, but you don't.
No, and it's like the Resident Evil franchise has a lot of girl bosses. Like, you have Shiva in the next Resident Evil installment. You have Claire, right, in Resident Evil 2. You have what's the name of the one in the first game? Damn it, I don't. But, like, there's at least 4 strong female characters in Resident Evil.
Yep. But it's not good enough, Lee, because they're not all strong female characters, and they don't fit the definition of strong female characters.
Again, I wouldn't even imagine how it would be like if Ashley was actually powerful and stuff. It would probably be annoying, because, like, you as the player would have another character just do stuff for you.
Yes, it would be annoying.
Oh yeah, Jill is the name. Shit.
It would be incredibly annoying, because you wouldn't be needed in the goddamn game anymore. Like, why are you even there?
Can you imagine, like, a game that's like, you know, like Star Wars, the subvert your expectation shit, where you as the player are not needed, and the NPC does everything.
Subverting expectations, indeed.
Yeah, it's called disappointment.
Speaking of subverting expectations, we've also got a little bit of race swapping going on. The whole Lilo and Stitch thing. I don't know why they're making a Lilo and Stitch live-action movie, but apparently they are.
Yeah,
I guess it's a tax break or something.
I noticed the remakes are coming closer and closer to the original. At this rate, you're going to have the remake and the original in the same year.
Well, at the very least, you'll have the live-action variant within the same year. So this was a lot of reeing about the actress being too white, because she's actually Hawaiian, which I guess isn't... They're not pox, according to the current progressive stack.
Yeah.
And they've managed to cancel 1 out of the 2 guys, as Bounding into Comics, a very good site here, writes Disney replaces Kahio Machado as David in live-action Lilo and Stitch remake due to his past use of racial slurs on social media. And this is where we get to the soft word, not the hard word, but the NIGGA.
Yeah, we talked about this in the beginning, and the reason they were even on his social media was to check the heritage of his parents.
Yep. I'm pretty sure he's referring to some sort of rap lyric here too. I've been explained that this version of the N-word, this one's okay. Like, this one's fine because it's not the same, you see.
No. Now, do they want to fire you, yes or no? If they don't want to fire you, it's fine. If they want to fire you, then it's not fine.
Yes, true. It depends upon what their motivations are at the time.
Rap music is one of the most dangerous musics in the world because it can get you fired.
Yes. Depending upon your skin color at the time of committing the crime.
I am curious if in the future
to be fair,
will ever be fired for using the word. Like, that would be interesting.
I feel like... Noise. I do like the choice there. N star noise for a Spotify playlist. Here's the thing. I have listened to a lot of rap music in my time, okay? Because I think good rap is actually great music. It is poetry put to beats and rhythm. But a lot of it is literally just noise.
Yeah.
Is a perfect name. Sometimes it's just noise. I do love that though, because the power of the N-word is growing. It's gaining more potency as the years go on.
I mean, in the 90s, Hollywood used it a lot. Almost every single Eddie Murphy movie had it in it.
Because it was Eddie Murphy and he was funny.
South Park had it in it. Right. But now you can't even say it, which is interesting because, like, when I grew up, you couldn't say fuck. It was the F word. And by the way, like, this thing where it's like the F word is the most dumb concept that I have ever heard. So, like, the person saying it in their mind knows they want to say fuck, right? The person hearing it knows that they're going to, like, the F word means fuck. So both in the heads of the people saying it, like, they know what it is, but, like, they say the F word. It's such an American shit. I genuinely hate it because it's so childish, you know? Because there are times, the idea is like you should never say the word, but there are times where you need to say it. Like, for example, newsworthy, right? Like, this person said it, they got fired. So, you need to say the word so that people know what you're talking about, but you can't say it because it's not acceptable. So you say the N-word.
Yes. But unlike the F word, the N-word is growing in power. Like, it is becoming larger and stronger as time goes on.
It is the Voldemort, yeah.
Yes.
Well, what's interesting is that it transcends America. Like there's people in Sweden getting fired for using it. And I'm like, what the fuck?
It has gone beyond borders. It has become a power upon the earth.
It's like, it's not even a word in the Swedish language. Like, it's an American thing. Like, why are you firing people for using it?
Well, in this case, they're doing it because they didn't want a person of Hawaiian descent to play a Hawaiian person, because that would be racist.
But remember, Ariel can be black because there are black Danes.
Yes, Ariel can be black. Plus, like, if you're a mermaid and you're at the bottom of the ocean where there's no sunlight, you would be black.
Is that how it works?
No, that's not how it works. If anything, you'd be goddamn translucent.
What I was surprised is that Triton is white. Like, I would expect that if Ariel is black, then her entire family would be black.
Well, I don't know. I guess Triton got cucked at some point?
Probably. I guess, like, they would say that Ariel is interracial, but, like, no.
The thing that annoys me the most about the actress playing Ariel is just not even her color. It's the width between her eyes.
A lot of people pointed that out.
Like, I'll put it in the link channel. Just have a nice long stare at her face and tell me that her nose bone doesn't, like, grow broader as you stare at it.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's weird.
It is.
It's actually quite strange. But I suppose the idea of Triton being cuckolded by some, I'm trying to think of a black fish right now, but I'm having a hard time.
Do you know the ending to Ariel?
Yes, it won't be the prince who defeats Ursula, it'll be, the little black mermaid.
Which kind of takes away from the ending, because the whole gist of it was that by doing this, Triton realizes that not all humans are bad.
Yes, but that's not the point anymore. It's Black Mermaid.
Which begs the question, if she can stand on the ship, and apparently is an expert navigator as well, why does she need legs? Like, she can apparently just slither like a lamia. She's like a monster girl.
Well,
Just slithers.
I mean, that's a valuable question, V, but it seems to defeat the entire purpose of the movie, so we'll just ignore it for now.
Isn't navigating one of those ships kind of difficult? Like, it's not just spinning the wheel, right? Like, it's about moving the sails, and like you need some experience.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
What are they, like Imperial era ships? They're corvettes. What are they called? Like,
no, I'm just saying it doesn't matter.
It matters for me, Arch.
It doesn't matter.
I can't suspend my disbelief when I see that shit. Why isn't she driving a fucking Toyota on water then, if it doesn't matter?
Well,
it's like
she
in the
could
Age of Empires. She should. Yeah, she should. But like in Age of Empires, you have Big Daddy, the cheat code, and you'd get like a modern sports car with rocket launchers and shit. Why can't she drive that then?
Yeah, and that would be better, yes, but they don't do that.
Why doesn't she drive the airplane from Attack on Titan, the seaplane thingy?
Let's see. So in the original, it was the prince who like steered a derelict ship or something to stab Ursula in the belly and whatever in the TT and kill her. And whilst in the new one, it will be Ariel who does it, whilst floating in the air, I believe. Like, I'll link the one. No, that's the one. That isn't the one. I'll see
it is. I never liked the original ending either, to be honest. Because, like, Ursula did nothing wrong.
I don't know about that. She was a bit evil, and she wore black.
Like, the reason I really like the whole character of Ursula is that she just makes contracts. Like, she doesn't lie or anything like that. Like, she literally tells. It's like, look, you want this? This is what you have to pay for it. And at every point, like, everyone consents. Like, there is no evilness in it. Like, she just wants to rule the seas, right? And she does, like, a contract with Ariel, a contract with Triton, gets the fucking Triton, right? Like she literally just buys stuff. Like, she doesn't steal stuff. She doesn't force people to... No. And I'm like, why did she lose? There's no reason.
What I like is the way this is worded, because this is some D&D GM shit right here. Okay, like, the newly powerful Ursula seems unbeatable, and then one of your players goes like, I grab a shipwreck. There's no shipwreck nearby. I take the shipwreck and I steer it into Ursula. You can't do that, and I defeat her. No, you don't. It's so fucking
you can't walk on land. Your character, you made your character for water. You can't. Like, the spell is that
there's no shipwreck, and even if there was, you can't get aboard it. And even if you could, you can't steer it. And even if you could,
you don't have points in navigation.
She's a 7-meter tall squid. She'll probably, like, do you have any idea how many hit points she has? She'll just tank that thing.
But, like, you don't have points in navigation. I roll for navigation.
It's so stupid, and I love just the blatant way in which it's delivered. It's like the final boss of the thing. Like, Ariel grabs the ship and rams her. The end.
Why doesn't she ram a Boeing at this point? It's like, well, she clearly doesn't need to know how to navigate, right? Like, she can just go into a Boeing and she can fly just fine.
Yes,
And parachute herself out of it as the thing goes into Ursula.
Nothing would have changed if the story was like, but then Ariel produced a law missile launcher from her ass and shot Ursula in the heart.
She got the javelin from NATO.
Yep. She steals an Akula submarine and fires the torpedoes.
Suddenly, the Russian ship next to the Ukrainian, the Russian capital ship, which was bombarded by the Ukrainians in another dimension.
Oh, we were about to go nuke New York, but this is way more fun, random blackfish lady.
Christ.
It's so fucking stupid.
Do you think like the Mortal Kombat animality thing would come after she?
All right, let's we'll get back to the super chats to it. Begin wrapping.
You know what I would have done? I would have had One Punch Man show up.
Well, but then she couldn't defeat it. Like the rules are, Ariel must defeat Ursula.
One Punch Man takes control of Ariel, like assuming direct control. Direct intervention is required, and then she's like, bye-bye.
But that's not how the rules work.
I see.
Mark James says, incidental monopolies are illegal. Intentional are illegal, but intentional monopolies are. Thing is, why be a monopoly when you can be a utility? It isn't being the only game in town, it is being illegal to not purchase from. Well, yes, that is what they're probably going to head for eventually, but again, it's... Monopolies, the way they have formed, should not be allowed to have formed. And somebody dropped the ball on that, and we are all paying the price.
Arch, do you think that Ariel blew up the pipeline?
She might have. She would have the power to do so.
I think like she would have had the C4. She went underwater.
And the governmental connections to gain it.
You know, there is a meme that like ever since they casted the first Black Mermaid, the underwater crime rose to 100% because like the pipeline was blew up.
And without their supply of raw oil, Atlantis descended. Like it became poor and overrun with crime. Jeff D says, what's your opinion of Monster Energy deciding they own the word monster? They're going after Pokemon, which predates their company. I believe it's retarded, and I hope that they get slapped down for it. That's what I hope.
It's kind of like Metallica suing their fans. I mean, even if they could, like, they don't have a case. But like, even if they did, doing this would give you so much bad PR that like no one would buy your energy drink anymore.
The problem is, it's like the only game in town. That's the issue. The companies have grown too large, too ubiquitous, too powerful, so they can get away with almost anything. That is the issue. Mark James says, incidental aren't intentionally are. Well, let's make incidental monopolies illegal too. Well, the thing is, there are regulations against, like, overt market dominance. Like, you don't have to be a monopoly to be broken up, for example. And that is, like, the steel barons of old, they weren't monopolies. Like, we need to redefine what monopoly means. It shouldn't be having an actual 100% monopoly. It should be in a market-dominant position where there can't reasonably be a competition.
True.
Lord Commissar Spartan says, howdy boys, sorry I'm late. I emerged from my mother 25 years ago today. So that's that. So that's neat.
Happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday. Obduello says, the Wokies are ringing because you play as a cop. Oh, there you go. Mark James says, how much should we want that scaredy art? Well, we'll consider that when it comes out. Scarfy the Strange says, ever played Isoputium Chernobyl? Isoputium Chernobyl.
Never heard of it.
No. Isoputium Chernobyl. It looks weird. But no, I have not played it. I'd never even heard of it. Gnolly says, "Hey out, check it out. I found a story on the channel Den of the Drake about a 40k player getting punched because 40k is fascist, and if he's a 40k fan, ergo." Well, that does sound believable. I hope there is more senseless violence to make more people angry. Very angry. Mark James says their list of demands are eternally incomplete. Yes, because if they are ever complete, then they've solved the problem and they've got nothing more to do. Which, of course, they never can. Alex Adamson, apparently the armorer was inexperienced. She couldn't tell the round was live. Don't know how a live got there. She didn't know because she was new. Like, okay. There's a few problems with that. One, how did you come about hiring an armorer, so an armorer specialist that doesn't know what a blank round looks like? How did you come about her credentials for an armorer?
There is a word diversity hire. I'm not sure we should use it or not, but
it might be applicable.
You know, like I actually spoke with a comedian, and all jokes aside, like the question was like, why aren't there any good female comedians? And he explained it. It's like in London, at the venue he was at, you had to be like 8 or 9 years in the industry in order to perform. So when they went with the diversity initiative, they would get women that had no experience or were doing comedy for like 1 year or so. And when you put someone that does comedy for 1 year next to someone who does comedy for 9, like, what do you think is going to happen?
Yes, there's going to be a slaughter.
Yeah.
But the issue is...
Yeah. And it's the same in other industries, right? Like, this one is just comedy. But imagine being an armorer or something like that. Like, if you're going to put someone that has very little experience in a place where a lot of experience is required, well, don't be surprised when they fail.
Well, it's not even that this requires a lot of goddamn experience, frankly.
Well, I don't know what an armorer does, but I assume it's like a specialized job, so...
Well, here's the thing, okay. Just for those in chat who doesn't necessarily know as well, it's very, 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 very easy to tell the difference between a live round and a blank round. And if I can just find a goddamn image here that isn't loading permanently. Like, every single image of this comes from the same goddamn page, because apparently has never updated their goddamn shit. Oh, there we go. So, a blank round will look something like this. It'll just be the cartridge, and that's it. It'll be a cartridge filled with black powder. That's it. And as you can see here, it's just the cartridge. Whereas a live round is going to have a bullet in it.
Yeah.
It's like, again, I wonder how she came around to get her credentials as an armorer, because telling whether or not a round has a bullet in it or not is not something you need to study. You know, there's no scientific formula here. It's not like telling if a crab is male or female because their spikes are slightly different.
A canary. Yeah, canaries are more difficult to tell.
Yeah, all you need to do is check whether or not there is a bullet in the round.
Even then, it's like the size. Tiny. Chaquito.
Like, it is very difficult. So, like, the idea that she was just new sounds like bullshit as well. Well, new as in never worked as an armorer before. In which case, again, you gotta be like, okay, why did you hire this person?
I don't know, but I could hazard to guess.
God knows. Troy Neenan says, saw that you made some new friends on Midnight's Edge. Any chance? Any chance of you seeing you on any other shows like Doomcock or Renegade? Well, I'm always willing to go on pretty much any show, but I'm too lazy to reach out to people most of the time. The whole sentence says, Boondocks' hilarious Stinkmeaner's revenge was deadly funny. Boondock Saints. Yes. I've never watched that. I've heard of it.
Anymore. I think they even canceled it. Like, they removed the episodes from streaming services.
Dindomino25 says, Arch, you ever listened to My Mind Playing Tricks on Me by Ghetto Boys? Not one for most rap myself, but really like that one. I have not. Maybe I'll check it out. Troy Neenan says, what's really funny, Ariel is meant to be Greek. That would be funny. Brigi Jurigui says, Ariel is a super stalker. Oh, super predator. Well, that explains how she could defeat Ursula so easily.
I mean, well, she's not really a super stalker. I mean, she's not forcing herself on the prince or anything, right? Like, she just puts herself out there, so...
So John says, Ursula is a representation of Jews. Oh, God. V, are you pro-Jew? He has to think about that one.
Why would Ursula be a representation of Jews, though?
I don't know. I haven't really analyzed Ursula's character via the Jewish people before. Lord Turkify says, V, do you seriously not remember that she cheats part? Or no, the bargain with souls bit? That's true, V. Did you forget that she cheats?
Wait. How does she cheat?
Like she cheats, she steals her voice or something.
No, she literally goes like, if you want to cross a bridge, you gotta pay the toll, right? Like she actually does say that. Like it will cost the voice. It won't cost much, just her voice. And she's like, but if without my voice, how can I? Well, don't forget the importance of body language. Boom, boom, boom. Like, there's no cheating. Like, she lays out the terms of the contract. There's no tiny line or anything. She's basically telling Ariel, like, you need to get the kiss within the first 3 days, and you also need to pay your voice.
Nolly says, I kind of like Ursula's face in the book, like there. Wait, since when were you a black woman? Sure. At least Ursula remained white, I guess. That's something. The whole Santa says, I missed Kyle's streams. I'm actually surprised. Well, tell him to not be such a horny little dog next time. Apparently, word on the street has it that it was Kyle who asked for the nipples. Yes. And Mark James says, look up dummy rounds. They have bullets.
Yeah, but why though?
Dummy rounds. They tend to be solid though, don't they? In a revolver, you might want dummy rounds because you'd maybe be able to see down the barrel. I guess not the barrel, but down the chambers. I guess. But I thought dummy rounds were usually either easily marked or solid pieces. And they should not have gunpowder in them either. So if it was a dummy round, then it shouldn't have fired at all.
Like at that point, right? Why even? Okay, so why not just use real bullets at that point? Like if you can have like dummy rounds that can kill and shit, and blanks can kill, like what's the point in having them? The whole point in having blanks and dummy rounds is so that you don't actually shoot someone, and it's just to make movies and theater plays.
Well, sometimes you've just got a person on set that you just don't like.
I guess.
And so you take care of them the only way you know how. The whole sentence says, not a Boondock Saints, the Boondocks. Where can I send you a clip? The Boondocks? I definitely haven't seen that. It sounds weird. Oh, that one. Yes, that one was also very racist, I hear. That one's the one with great and powerful N-wordery. I guess the N-word is next. Like, we are not going to be allowed to say the N-word. Somebody is going to be cancelled for saying literally N-word.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
And Sujad says, Arch, she's a woman. She probably couldn't tell the difference between a fired bullet and a bullet still in the cartridge. Yep. Well, again, that's the thing, though. Yeah, dummy rounds are when you can see the cartridge on film. Like, because I'm pretty sure they're not supposed to be fireable. Because if it was a dummy round, and still then, live ammo would have to be worked into the gun. Even then, you should be able to tell the difference because of the weight, if anything. Never mind. Somebody was a retard. That's my final wrap-up thought on the whole Rust thing. Somebody was a retard. God, think of if people with middle names that start with N, so you're like Anthony N. Nonson or something like that, he's going to be cancelled from society. Straight up.
Probably.
Like,
I mean,
N in your name?
There have been cases where people had ridiculous names and they ended up being in trouble. Like there is a politician named Hitler, I believe, which is currently winning an election in some African country.
Well, that is a spicy name to have, I must say. There's no proof she loaded the gun, says chat too. God, chat is heavily divided on this one. Like, half of chat is like Alec Baldwin did it, other half of chat is like Armor did it, and both sides are like my facts disprove the other sides. I don't even know. Somebody did a dub. That's still my final conclusion here. Noah R says, Arch, it's a black communist showing black struggle through American history in a comedic way. 10 out of 10, really funny. God damn it. Okay, I'm gonna have to... The Boondocks. Okay, fine. I'll look it up afterwards. Maybe it'll be funny. I hope it'll be funny. Thank you very much for the $50. Very generous of you as well. The Boondocks. It looks weird, though.
Wasn't the Boondocks the one with the black people?
I believe so. At least Google tells me so.
Yeah, that got banned from streaming service.
Hey, it's on my favorite little pirate site. Lovely. Well, I can just cue that up there nice and simple. It does look weird. And I will check it out. Lucian says, I agree with the other person. Ghetto Boys, My Mind Playing Tricks on Me is a top-tier rap song when I'm imbibing. Well, there you go. Okay. With that, we have gotten through all of our super chats. Again, thank you very much for your generous donation chats, and thank you very much for watching. And I hope to see you all again next week as we wrap it up there. And have a good day.